Bad news, unfortunately. Unfortunately, next up is this idiot. Kyiv is bombing Ukraine with 800 drones. But what is even more outrageous is that people have been hurt and killed, and residential homes of ordinary civilians have been destroyed. And the thalassocracy website and the bureaucracy of Zelensky and all these structures are getting it through their platform. If you've been watching, they are constantly receiving information from the thalassocrats of Europe and all these pseudo-rulers. That's how complicated the situation is. A bomb hit a government building directly. This clearly shows their true face. The thing that outraged them the most was that a bomb hit some ministry somewhere. By the way, no one was hurt, and apparently these buildings are empty. And this bloated bureaucracy which built all these palaces with 9-meter high ceilings, all these mansions, they're empty now. But there's no less bureaucracy than before. And you can see how the telesocrats of certain European countries, the socialist ones, are supporting them. This Socrat in Ukraine. Of course, Putin, the KGB man, is to blame for this war. Together with Biden, they started this bloodbath. And I believe that regardless, we will keep talking about this, that Putin sooner or later must face a tribunal for Biden and Trump at the same time. Because this whole socialist pact led to this bloodshed, absolutely without any... There was nothing sane about it to even start this war. And of course, the blame for this lies with China, considering that China had and still has two vassals. On one hand, that's Russia, and on the other, the Social Democratic Party. And it was exactly these two vassals who conspired and decided to use Ukraine to destroy Europe, Russia, and even America. Because America, in any case, will have to participate financially. And as always, what socialists do, they dragged Ukraine into the war and then simply stabbed it in the back. That is, they didn't give Ukraine Lend-Lease. You know, back then, well, I organized a rally in Washington to support Lend-Lease. And as soon as we opened our mouths, that whole green crowd started saying that Ukraine didn't need Lend-Lease. And now, when they're still launching 800 rockets at civilians' heads, how are we supposed to take that? So at that time, if we had managed to achieve it, Lend-Lease, the situation in Ukraine would be completely different now. Hello, everyone. We're waiting for you. Alina Mask, Alina, Orlova. Greetings, Odessa. Hello, hello, every life. Greetings from Odessa. I greet you too. The people are dying in the war. Nobody cares, especially Putin. But Putin is a terrorist. And basically, Trump is trying to keep him on a leash, tightening and pulling the noose around his neck. But the thing is, the situation has gone too far, considering that China is involved in this whole process, as well as these so-called European countries. They're involved, I'm sure of it, and this slaughter is beneficial to them. Ordinary Ukrainians are suffering. Glory to the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, and glory to the people of Ukraine who are standing strong. In this situation, and at this point, of course, after all these years of war, everyone is tired. The soldiers at the front are exhausted, people are worn out, and everyone wants this slaughter to end. But the question is, who can stop this bloodshed? Clearly, only Trump can resolve this. That's why I urge people to act even more actively, to send information to Trump. That is to thank him, to express gratitude for the fact that he is even dealing with this issue. To send him photos, for example. I do this all the time, where there are Ukrainian and American flags. I write to him that the American Party of Ukraine supports Trump, supports you. Thank you for wanting to stop the war. And we understand that you are on the side of Ukrainians, not on the side of bureaucracy. Your opinion about Arestovich, please, Zorgal Putin. Well, he's a con artist, pure and simple, who changes his stance on the fly, tried to get into Trump's team here in America somehow, tried with Patrick Bet-David, also made appearances. That well-known blogger here in America tried to get in there, but Americans, both conservatives and the Republican wing, they see that he's a fraud, so they gave him the boot. And basically, they don't let him anywhere near them. And then he starts flirting with Russia, with the KGB types. We all remember well how he went to Moscow to meet with Dugin, and there he was building the Russian world. That's why you can't trust this person. I would actually recommend unsubscribing altogether, because there's no point in listening to his chatter. He doesn't tell you anything. With that toothpick in his mouth, he's just mocking you. And at first, together with that swindler Fagin, they were hyping up information, promising every day that something would change tomorrow. But in reality, it was all just empty talk. I believe that, figuratively speaking, there is blood of Ukraine on his hands as well. That's why I think you should unsubscribe. I invite you to watch bloggers from the conservative wing, those who are libertarians. These are basically bloggers who can provide you with information and analyze it critically. Discuss it, and in this way unite common sense, because I believe that people with common sense absolutely must come together. In which month will there be a move toward peace? I assume that Trump will still manage to achieve it, to stop the war before the new year. There may be some additional stages, because he is very determined to stop the war. He has already stopped it for everyone. This is a matter of honor for him. He will definitely do everything possible in this direction, everything he can do. But our task from this side, from Ukraine and also the diaspora, we need to unite and constantly bombard Trump's Truth platform, the X platform, and then the whole team of Trump's Christian supporters. We also need to keep in constant contact with them. And this contact should be based on the understanding that only the Republican wing can really help Ukraine. So we should simply say thank you and be grateful that America is still helping Ukraine. And Trump, in any case, his direction is aimed at stopping the terrorist Putin sooner or later and giving Ukraine the opportunity to recover economically from this situation. That's why he made a deal, and I think he will continue to support this direction. Olga, last night, the Kryukovsky Bridge in Kremenchuk was blown up, and traffic across the bridge has been restored via the dam. The Central Committee is blocking the roads. People are stuck in traffic jams. It's complete chaos. We need to understand that this situation right now is a consequence. It's a consequence of this social bureaucracy as well. On one hand, and on the other hand, the KGB man who changed the constitution and stayed in power forever. It's like the frog in boiling water. It was cooked slowly, not all at once. And that's why the people, the citizens, must participate in these political processes. As Javier Milei says, the more of us there are, the fewer of them there are. And there can't be any other kind of math here. So it's clear that people with common sense who can critically assess the situation are in the minority. But I'm sure that not everyone supports or communicates with each other. But that's why I urge you to spread information, to join their platform, to also open an account on the Truth platform so that you always have information, first of all, about what Trump is doing, what his team is doing, what Elon Musk is doing, and to be close to them. Because I am sure that Trump will push the situation to the end and stop this bloodshed. And then it will definitely be necessary to ask Elon Musk to also influence the situation. At the very least, what needs to be done in Ukraine is to change the information landscape, to open people's eyes, to take the box off people's heads, to get rid of the KGB agents and socialists, and in this way, provide truthful information. And where can truthful information come from? From Trump's team, from Elon Musk, and from us together. Because, as Elon Musk said, that's exactly what we are now. Mass media. All these socialists, by the way, paid for from the American people's budget, all these propagandists, I think step by step, they will disappear. Because people are starting to figure things out after so many lies. And all their lies, I'm sure, will be neutralized by us because people have truly woken up. And the socialism, communism, and the dominance of bureaucracy, who consider themselves above, I don't know, above even God. That is, once they get into power, there's no contact with the people at all. In America, as Hayek used to say, there are still their own people. In his books, he wrote that America is the last island of freedom that still remains, and it can expand this space of freedom. But it's necessary to stay in direct contact with Trump and his team, which is what I'm calling for. Good evening, Tatiana Vladimirovna. Greetings to Anton Vashchenko. Excuse me, to have Musk conduct elections in Ukraine in electronic format? Yes, I'm sure it will be possible to do it in parallel, at least to conduct polls on the X platform. And I believe this will be a great help for Ukraine, because of course this is thalassocracy. Zelensky will want to use administrative resources so that these elections don't look, well, so that they look as if they are winning. But believe me, all these social surveys that have been conducted up to now and those that exist at the moment are complete nonsense because people are free, and when they are asked, they already understand that the very way the question is posed could get them into a difficult situation. In Ukraine, there is propaganda. People are being brainwashed 24/7. Yes, absolutely, 100%. There's propaganda, narratives, and most importantly, as soon as a person speaks out and criticizes the authorities, and immediately they're labeled a Kremlin agent. They've arranged things in a very convenient way for themselves. So there is a way out of this situation, with this difficult situation. And the point is that people need to unite. Victoria, do you think our people will trust the words of Trump or Musk when they support some Ukrainian force? The thing is, as I explained in previous streams, Trump and his team and Elon Musk haven't dealt with Ukraine yet. Trump's current task is external, meaning to stop the terrorist Putin and to force Zelensky as well. Trump will join all the plans aligning with his goal to stop the fighting. And after that, once it has been stopped, this slaughter, I am sure that Trump and his team will get involved in the work. I am sure they are already prepared for all these issues. We just need to end the war. And ending the war is beneficial for Ukrainians, it's beneficial for the armed forces of Ukraine, and it's beneficial for people with common sense. But those who are so eager to fight, where are they fighting from? Either from a bunker or from their couches. And they call for fighting until the last Ukrainian. Right now, Ukraine is in a difficult situation. And because Putin is putting pressure, he is psychologically trying, like a beast, like a hyena, to drop more and more bombs so that the population itself becomes outraged by this situation. This is clearly his tactical move. But Trump understands this as well. And I think that right now, some kind of operation is being prepared. Trump can't talk about this. What did Trump announce just now? The Department of Defense has been renamed the Department of War. And this Department of War, I'm sure, will now also act strategically to work towards, I'm sure, the collapse of Russia, because there's no other way to deal with this monster. So I think that all sorts of levers will be used to put Putin in his place and ultimately to achieve the breakup of Russia. And those who say that Trump doesn't want the breakup of Russia because of its nuclear weapons, believe me, all these factors can be taken into account. So in your opinion, after Trump, will the US be victorious? Yes, I think that after Trump there will be Vance will compete for the next presidency, and Elon Musk will also participate for the American party. It's just that at the moment, he's not raising this issue because there are midterm elections. I'm sure even Trump himself asked him, like, of course, you can form your own party. That's your right. But at the moment, we need to get through these midterm elections. Good evening to everyone. Natalia Kamisko. Hello. Hello. Olegovich has joined us on air here. Where was common sense when Russia started the war? Well, Russia, the Kievites, they have long been set on taking political control over Ukraine. They tried to do this through political means, through their godfather here, Medvedchuk, who took billions of dollars and basically misinformed both the Kievite Putin and all his entourage. Because it's obvious that Ukraine, remembering how in 1939 the Soviet Union entered the territory into Western Ukraine, they drove everyone out of their homes and apartments. They deported people to Siberia and settled in their apartments themselves. These are their methods. They're barbarians. That's why people took up arms, because they understand that Russia, KGB Russia, is evil. And Putin usurped power in Russia, and next he would have installed some vassal, like the Belarusian leader here in Ukraine. And in the end, Ukraine wouldn't have any rights at all. Well, for Ukrainians, that would have been a catastrophe. But at this point, both the armed forces of Ukraine and the people have defended themselves. I believe Ukraine needs to stop. It needs to be stopped, because there is a leader who can definitely help make that happen. And we should thank him for that and invite him to cooperate. So politics, utopia, who cares about the Trinity? The main thing is beautiful images for stories, advertising, selling the war. Yes, but there's this thing. Sviridenko, Yulia, immediately rushed to take photos to promote herself. That's their true face. They can only promote themselves through tragedy. That's all they do. The more destruction, the more publicity they get. But this level of cynicism is off the charts. This cynicism exists all over the world, really. If you look at the past 100 years, thalassocracies have come to power and using some fake theory like socialism or communism have robbed their own people and then in the end even started wars. The same thing is happening now. If in the last century 100 million people died because of this social communist bureaucracy and terrorist, and a socialist, a terrorist, a fascist, or even Hitler or Stalin, they're all the same thing. All of this led to that catastrophe. And it continues to this day. In principle, America had a chance to finish off this KGB Hydra when the Soviet Union was collapsing. But you see, leftist forces are also present in America, and basically they didn't allow this structure to fall apart. The communists and the KGB agents. But Trump is already set on. He understands that he needs to finish off the Democratic Communist Party here, which is also Islamized, and then move on to help other countries to fight it as well. This situation with the thalassocrats, because the same situation exists now in Europe, this superstructure of the European Union, which is robbing all the countries of Europe, and then they redistribute the money to all sorts of projects, ultimately in order to steal. Why do the thalassocrats and all these structures need projects? Government ones, so that they can make money on kickbacks and then use that money for the next elections. And it's a vicious circle. That's why they are always in power. And so you look at it and it seems like the people are against it and see that it's all complete nonsense, the direction everything is going, but somehow they win the elections again. It was the same in America. In 2020, I'm sure the elections were rigged. Now there are ongoing investigations. I'm sure that Trump will make sure that when all the information comes out, there will definitely be some serious situations. And it will turn out that the elections were indeed rigged. You remember that graph where Trump was winning at night, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Biden's numbers skyrocketed and he started gaining votes. Because that's fraud. That's the only way they can operate. And in such a situation, on a playing field where there are rules, they can't win. They can only win through fraud.